All right, well, my plans from yesterday didn't work out too well. We got a surprise pump back up to the highs of the range. And looking at it now, I mean, it shouldn't have been that surprising to me. There is a clear reason why we did that, and it's because there was lots of liquidity built up on this way down. We just, continued making lower highs. And so it was very easy for price to get a move to the upside to sweep all of that liquidity. If you go to Coinalyze, you can see that this move to the upside was pretty much just a short squeeze, stopping out lots of shorts as price took out these highs. And even before it took out these highs over here, I guess there was lots of liquidity built up above these highs as well, because we saw a large decrease of open interest on this move to the upside and that move above these highs. And I did take one loss yesterday trading one of those levels I was looking at. I think it was this 1 hour order block right here. We did see a large decrease of open interest as we got to move into there, but there really wasn't much else to give me a reason to short this, and I did anyway. But we did get a nice rejection off of this 5-minute order block, and when I saw that rejection, that wick plus the SFP of the high, this was a trade that I took, and that pretty much made back the losses that I took from the previous trade. I moved my stop loss into profit pretty quickly once I took out profits down here, the lows of this local range. That got stopped out, and pretty much ended the day on a break even. And yesterday I was looking at this larger range, looking at the possibility of us rejecting off of the value area low of this larger range after falling outside of it, potentially signifying that price no longer wants to trade in this range and that we may see a move lower. And that is still a possibility. We have gotten another move inside of this range, and right now it is unclear whether we are going to stay inside of it or not. We just had what looked to be a bullish bounce back into it on this candle, but price has since fallen back down a little bit. If we check the low time frames, we got a nice bounce here. But yeah, looking at this now, it is still possible that we find resistance on this level, and we are unable to hold support inside this range again. And if that's the case, then we may still see that move to the downside. We may still see a larger retracement here. However, another possibility is that we are, simply just trading in a range down below the previous range. And if you look at times that we have done this in the past, this tends to be kind of a fake out. It tends to be a fake out of the range. It looks like we are breaking down outside the range, then we just kind of form a range literally right outside of the previous range. And a lot of times you will then see a aggressive move back to the other side of the range. One example of that is right here. We had this range, we fell outside of it, started trading in a little range, and then we got that aggressive move to the upside. You could look at this as an example too. We had a range right here, broke out of it, started trading in a little range, and then aggressive move to the opposite side. So that is a possibility as well. It's possible that we just start trading in a little range here and then maybe see an aggressive move to the other side later, kind of throw everybody off. And I guess for a little bit more clarity, I would want to see either us get above this key area, the point of control and the support resistance level, or basically take out the lows of this little range. Because once we do that, if we take out the lows of this range with a close, then it's beginning to look more likely that we are breaking out of this range and that we may start a retracement. And if we can get back above this key area inside this range, I think it then becomes a lot more likely that we will make a move for the highs of the range. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at in terms of the larger range right now. So looking at this local price action, there are a few ideas I am looking at. So first off, the way that I identify this range in terms of the fixed range pull is I just looked at the highs of the range, went to the left, looked to see where price connects to the left, and then I pulled the fixed range from there. And this volume profile, you can see we have a lot of volume at the highs of the range. And there's a lot of volume at the lows of the range too, but the point of control is a lot closer to the value area high than the value area low. And it does seem like we have found some resistance on this area. Price, recently kind of rejected from that area. And the other thing I'm looking at in terms of volume levels are the previous day levels. And right now, price is in between the PD value area high and PD point of control. And the PD value area low is all the way down at the lows of the range. In terms of short term, I would be watching these volume levels to see if we can, hold support on this point of control and then hold support on the value area high. Or are we going to lose this point of control? And if that's the case, we may see a move down towards the lower end of the volume levels, like maybe the value area low of this range or the PD value area low. Now, in terms of support levels, there are a few interesting areas of confluence towards the low of the range that I'm interested in. We did just get a nice bounce off of this level, the zero point 0.5 fib. It's actually the PDEQ because this fib is pulled from yesterday's lows to yesterday's highs. So we got a bounce from the PDEQ as well as this daily level, which was untapped until we just tapped it right there. And we did get a nice reaction off here. And I did long the retest. We just got to move back into the golden pocket here. So it took a little long trade there in validation down below the 786, below the PDPOC. Because if we're going to hold this PDPOC, then I think this retest, could lead to a further move to the upside. So that was one level I was watching. But if we lose that PDPOC, right below it, we do have a 30-minute order block. And my mouse sucks. I'm trying to scroll out here, and it keeps going back and forth. Like, do you see that? I'm only scrolling one direction right now. But anyways, on the 30-minute time frame, I am looking at this purple candle in between the two blues. The blue to the right came up to break structure. That is looking like a solid order block to me. Same thing with this one. In between two blues, came up to break structure. So we have two 30-minute order blocks down around the lows of the range. And this first one has some nice confluence with the golden pocket, as well as a, just in general support resistance area. We had resistance, support, and resistance. Maybe this now flips back into support. But this is also pretty close to the PDPOC. So I would definitely consider, TPing earlier on this one because there is a chance that we just come up to that PDPOC and then find resistance, and this just ends up being, a lower low, lower high type scenario, and then we continue the downtrend. And there is also this value area high from this little mini range in that order block as well. And right below it, this order block I think is looking a little bit better just because the value area low of this larger range is inside of it. Also, the point of control of this mini range, the 786 is right below it, so it is in between the golden pocket 786 area. And while we could come down to this first order block and put in a significant low there and then get a move back to the highs of the range, that is possible, but I think it would probably be more likely from this lower one because the value area low is inside of it. And after that, I'd be watching yesterday's lows because we could SFP those lows into this order block that I was watching. We did front run that, and we also front ran the golden pocket. If you pull it from this low to the high, we just barely front ran that as well, I believe. Yep, so we could SFP that low into this area confluence. And for resistance levels, so first I'd probably look at this last lower high in this little local downtrend. We could potentially SFP that because looking at it like this, we broke the uptrend right here and then put in that lower high before a lower low. So I would be watching this point, and I would also be interested in this high, just considering it is at the highs of the range. So if we take out that high, fall back down below it, fall back down below the value area high of the range, and I would also be very interested in the highs of the range in that high, because we could potentially SFP that into this very key level, this support resistance level, and so I would want to see if we take that out, fall back down below it, and that could end up being like a really bearish rejection there, rejecting from that, and then if we continue on to fall back outside of this larger range, yeah, so I would be very interested in this high as well. All right, well, that is pretty much my plans. Yeah, so long as we are trading in this range right here, then I'm going to be focusing my plans inside of that range. And other than that, I will be waiting for one of those two things that I talked about, either us to reclaim that point of control or pretty much lose this little mini range that we are trading in. So, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.